Okay, since we seems like we've hit a peak of participants, I think we'll get started. My name is Daryl O'Sullivan, and I'm on the board of directors of the Western Neuropathy Association. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the April 2023 webinar, which we really enjoy providing this kind of information to all the members. Hopefully helps with a lot of different questions and gives you some guidance here and there. So this month's webinar is going to be about scams and different kinds of things to be careful of. It's going to be presented by Pam Hart. She is our long-term board member and now president of the Western Neuropathy Association. Pam's been with us and worked a lot of different things for the Western Neuropathy Association for quite a number of years. And so we're very grateful to Pam. So in looking at this, we all, as Pam has said to me, we have all been tempted to try almost anything to relieve our neuropathy pain. And believe me, I absolutely know how that feels. So today, Pam's going to give us a talk about how to spot neuropathy scams and scammers. And you will learn how to weed out the scams and the snake oils online and otherwise that may be preying on those who are especially vulnerable due to pain and constant or increasing and changing symptoms. It is my great pleasure to turn this over to Pam. Pam, it's all yours.
Thank you, Daryl, very much. Welcome, everyone, for attending today. And I wanted to just preface this by saying I am not an expert on scams. I really just want to tell you that this is a discussion that I'm sure you've had in some of your support groups and with some of your friends, but we can just highlight some of the areas that are most important to check out. And there isn't a one single thing that's going to be the best thing to check. So we'll go over some of these things. Let me share my screen here. Oh, that didn't work very well, did it?
I think if you go back and restart the PowerPoint, you should be okay because you're at the end. There you go.
Yeah. So what we're mainly talking about today is misleading advertising. And we can call those scams. Now, it's not that the things I'm talking about don't work for some people. The scam part is that they're making claims that aren't true. So let's try and go over some of these things. And I just wanted to kind of show a typical journey of the neuropathy patient. And you see that you find out what you have and you go to your doctor and you get different tests and those things don't work. You have meds and you change those meds. You go to physical therapy, chiropractic, massage, yoga, Pilates, acupuncture, miracle creams, rollers, TENS units. How many of you have been on this roller coaster? I think quite a few of you. So along the way, you're asking, heavens, what is there for me? What can I do? Well, one of the things I think we have to be aware of, that the language that the people are using, especially when they say they can cure neuropathy. From all the medical literature that we read, there is no cure of neuropathy. So anytime someone is going to say that, those red flags are just going to pop up immediately. And especially if someone says there's going to be marked improvement in 1 month, or by 6 months or a year, everything will be all right. Your nerves will be rebuilt. We don't have research that tells us this at this point. So those are red flags that we have to watch out for. And the same with language about all neuropathies can be treated with the same process. Well, we know that all neuropathies are not the same. Some people just say my TENS unit is great. Some people say my CBD cream works for me. But all of these things are temporary relief, and it may not be the same for everyone. So these are just scam sentences that we want to watch out for. So we'll look at three general areas today: the supplements and creams, the mechanical devices and treatments, and the medical procedures. One of the main things to look for is there reference material at the end that shows for this specific product? A lot of times you'll see on their advertising that they list a whole list of references. And these are studies that have been done by legitimate organizations, medical institutions, and so forth. But it's for one of the ingredients in that product. It isn't for this specific product. So that's one of the things you want to look for. And they have these great little logos here, bottled in the USA. That sounds good. I like that. Does that mean they were actually manufactured in the USA? Maybe not. Good manufacturing practice, consistent quality. That sounds like a pretty good one, doesn't it? Made in an FDA approved facility. This does not mean that it was FDA approved. It means that it was manufactured in an FDA approved facility. So they flash these things on there. They look really good, but is that really what you're looking for? One of the other things that they always, not always say, but in some of their advertising, they say, well, you need to take this for 1 year. And by the way, your underlying condition must be controlled first. So that means if you have diabetes, your diabetes must be controlled first, or whatever other underlying conditions. You almost might read also in there that they say, oh, and by the way, you have to be eating this healthy diet that includes this, 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 and this. All of these things are very well known, but they're trying to sell you a product that will cure this, and it's nothing you can't do on your own. And I think that's the main thing we're trying to get across today, is that these advertisers are just trying to sell you something that might look good and sound good and probably would be beneficial to you, but it's not going to cure your neuropathy. Now, some of the supplements have all the B vitamins in them. And we know that that is a very good thing for you to be taking. Even Marty Price did a webinar on the vitamins and so forth that are good for you. And so we know that that's very true, that we need these B vitamins and other supplements, but you can get these over the counter. You don't need their special formulation to make it work. As you can see, a lot of these have the B vitamins in them and the ALA in them, the alpha lipoic acid and the benfotiamine. All these things are really good. And it might be easier for you to have it in this type of container all put together for you if you want to spend the money on this. Just know that you do not need a special formulation, or you do not need to get them from a special doctor. So it's not so much that this is a scam, because we know that these do work. It's just it's a scam to say that this product is the only thing you need. Another thing you might want to check on are the disclaimers that they have at the very end. And it really is important to read the entire website if that's what you're looking at to begin with, or the entire video that they're giving to you, because they will often have these disclaimers at the very end. And I've highlighted some of these things that say, this is the author's opinion. You should do your own research. And then it says down here that they make no representation and assume no responsibility for the accuracy of the information contained in this website. So you're saying, oh my goodness, they're telling me all these things that are going to cure me and make me feel so much better. And in a month, I'm going to be able to walk again and jump up and down and do all the things I used to be able to do. But they're not taking any responsibility for the information that they're actually giving you here. It may not be correct. Some of the other scam alert languages are that it's only available for purchase online. Now, why is this? Why do they say that? Well, they say that because they say, oh, if we put it in a store, it would cost you so much more money. So you can only get it online. And there's only a limited stock because this is so special. You have to get it now. Well, what do those things start to tell you? That maybe they can only sell so much because finally people will realize that maybe this isn't the be all and end all that they're claiming it to be. And results may vary. But now they've told you that this is good for all neuropathies. Okay, a little scam alert language here, right? And then they, of course, they say that it's going to take up to 6 months to get long-lasting results because they want to sell you at least 6 months worth of product. Then guess what? You go back to buy it again and they're no longer around. What does that tell you? Another thing I will mention again, that a lot of them say that your underlying health conditions must be under control. So if your underlying health conditions were under control, you probably really wouldn't need these products that they're trying to sell you. Another one that I saw said that it fixes the root cause of neuropathy. And I thought that was that was pretty bold of them to come out with that statement, because they don't know what your root cause is. We know there are many, many root causes. And for them to claim that, I think it just goes into our scam alert section. Now, there are some creams. Again, these creams work for people. They have the ALA in them, the capsaicin, lidocaine, or CBD, and these things work for some people. They don't work for other people. I know we've had very many reports from our support group people on what works for them. It just doesn't work for everyone. And you can buy it yourself at the store. You don't need special formulations, or you don't need a doctor to prescribe these things. So again, these things work and they do help people. I'm not saying that these are scams. All I'm saying is the scam advertising that tries to get you to buy this and will tell you that it will work for every kind of neuropathy for every person. Now, we have treatments that get advertised, and you might see these in your newspapers, or maybe even a special mailing that comes to your house. Your friends might have told you about this, and they're saying that they can do these wonderful treatments for you. So these are some of the things that you might want to check first. Check their licensing. Do they actually have a license to practice in your city and or state? Check for any Yelp reviews. Yes, I know that Yelp usually has, one end or the other. Either all the people are saying, yay, this is the best thing, or people saying, this is a scam, this didn't work for me. So it is easy for you to read those Yelp reviews, but you must take into account that you're just getting one end or the other usually on those. So you have to do some more research for yourself, because obviously treatments aren't good for everybody, but it may be something that would help you. But you might want to do some more research. Like, where is their business? Is it in their home, or is it in a location that is usually associated with a legitimate business? How about their credentials? Do you see where they studied? Like, if you're going for acupuncture, did they go to ABC acupuncture school, or do they actually study with some Chinese acupuncture association? And can they tell you about it? When you go to visit them at the very beginning, do they do a complete history? Do they ask a lot of questions? Or do they just say, oh, yes, you have neuropathy. Yes, we have this treatment that's going to be perfect for you. Again, these kind of treatments aren't good for everyone. Hopefully, it might help you, but you want to be sure that they understand your complete history and what you're talking about. And do they completely explain the treatment? Or they just say, oh, we have this unique treatment that is revolutionary and uses the latest and greatest equipment. That doesn't really tell much about the treatment, does it? What actually are you going to go through? How long is this going to take? And of course, how much money is this going to take? And once you know about that treatment, does it sound logical? Have you ever heard of this type of treatment from anyone else? Can you corroborate it at all with your doctor or with any other professionals, maybe a physical therapist? And so you always want to verify. Trust, but verify. And of course, they might also want to sell you some type of supplements, and you would want to verify their ingredients and their sources, where they were made. Now, a lot of these treatments might say that they rebuild the nerves. And I think that studies have shown that over a long period of time, that nerves can be rebuilt. But this is nothing that happens right away at all. And so, like I said before, are they saying that they use a unique clinical treatment, or will they describe these treatments for you? Are they just using some of the known devices that we already know about, like the rebuilder or the TENS units? Maybe the infrared light therapy? I don't think these are unique clinical treatments. And these, again, are things you can purchase on your own, so you can use them at home. And yes, these treatments might work while you're going to the therapy, and hopefully you will be feeling better and better. But then after the 6 months or 6 weeks or whatever it takes for your treatments, do your symptoms come back again? I think that's why it's easier to have some of these units for yourself, so you can continue the treatments on your own. I think one of the big cell treatment scams is stem cells. And we keep hearing a lot about stem cells, whether they come from human umbilical cords or adipose tissue, or they say they take your own stem cells and then inject them back into you, but so far, nothing has been really proven that these stem cell treatments are of a great help to anybody. They're very expensive and not very effective. I just wanted to end here with a little statement that I copied from the Mayo Clinic Center for Regenerative Medicine, and basically saying that 30–40% of all neuropathies have no known cause. So if they're telling you that you can treat and completely cure their neuropathies when they don't even know what the cause is, those are the words that really need to be in your brain, because it just says scam. And this team at the Mayo Clinic is looking into stem cells and other type of treatments. But as he says, this is going to take years before new treatments are moved into clinical trials. Just like we've seen with Dr. Hammock's medication that he's developing. These things take time. These treatments take time to be very effectively researched and documented. And with that, I'd like to open it up for questions and discussion. I'm sure people have treatments that they've tried that I might not have covered today, and maybe they can tell me what kind of scams they've come across. Carol, do you have any?
Pam, there's one question about how can we get a copy of the slides? I did respond that the webinar will be online in a few days, but you might want to ask, I mean, if you wish to provide the slides in any other way.
Okay, I would be glad to do that if you would like to email me. And I can put, let's see, will they see it in the chat if I put it in the chat or not?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is going to be recorded, so that's good.
Right.
So just want to encourage anyone and everyone to think about any questions you might have.
Or any comments.
Yes.
Any other scams that you've run into. Like I said, I'm not the expert here. I just wanted to open the discussion so that people can learn from each other on this.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? We got 22 folks listening, so there's got to be somebody with a question or a comment. Don't be shy. Here's another. I see another in the, so this is from Kathy Clemens. I've heard that anodyne treatment can help, but for me, after 3 treatments, I was much worse, and it was permanent. So her comment was that it didn't help her; it actually made things worse.
Oh, that's very sad to hear.
Yeah, it is,
Kathy. But like I think we showed
it says
at the
that it's
beginning.
let's see, maybe it's because the Western Neuropathy Association has that off. So let's ask to unmute. Okay, now let us know if that worked in terms of unmuting the microphone in the chat.
I think that was just for me, but let me see.
Okay.
If I can.
No, I don't understand why that happened. Then, so anyway,
Right.
Any idea, Lindsay?
Let me check.
Okay.
It might be because they're in as anonymous, so they don't have a spot on the attendee list that I can unmute.
Okay. So perhaps if they used it instead of the, maybe in the chat instead?
I had a question, or just a comment actually, while we're waiting for more questions to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say this can apply to anything. It doesn't have to just be neuropathy, right? So anytime you have a company or an advertisement claiming to do these wonderful, wonderful cure-all things, that should be a big old red flag that, it may not work for everybody. It might do some things that it purports to do, but any kind of pain treatment, especially I'm thinking more along the lines of like beauty treatments or, just any type of wellness product that has this grandeur of being able to alleviate all these things and fix all these things, that always want to read the fine details, and always a good idea to double check with your doctor before committing to any of that stuff, and just as a fail safe, just to say, hey, does this sound like a real thing? Is it worth my money? Just to get some extra feedback.
Okay, I've got, can we take off Pam's, can we take off Pam's screen? I don't understand what that meant.
Yes.
Maybe they mean the PowerPoint. Oh, here's one from someone that says, I was pitched a separator for my toes and then corrective shoes by a doctor, and insurance was going to cover it. I backed away as his evidence was all anecdotal. Then another one that says, can nerves really regenerate? I think the answer is yes, but it's not as simple as just yes. It depends on a lot of different things, and peripheral neuropathy is so complicated that I don't think we have an answer that we can actually give you.
And again, in different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what the circumstances are for the nerves being damaged.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's another one that says, I live on an island and no neurologist or support group. The answer is that we have how many different support groups that are online? And we have, 2 or 3 that you could join. And I think that would really be helpful, because then you can talk to and hear from a lot of different people. Okay. Nothing more in the chat. Any other comments? I know this is a difficult thing because we all suffer a lot. Okay. Okay, so Kathy says perhaps asking for what their sample size was. What was it, a statistical significant sample? That's an excellent comment, Kathy. And we could add that to our listings of questions.
Right. And I even noticed in some of the research that they had a control group have 27% relief, and the group that had the placebo had 28% relief. So that's not a statistical difference enough that you could say that it was really relief.
No, it just means
So
that the placebo actually worked
details.
better.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so we don't have any more open questions right now. Here's one from Glenn. Anyone who wants to be put on the online support group list, and here's the emails for that, both for Glenn and for Catherine. So please take a look at those and feel free to email and get on the list for the online support groups. And I think you'll find the support groups online are fantastic. Hope you didn't mind me answering all that.
No, that's okay.
Okay, well.
I do have, let's see, Brita has her hand up, so I'm gonna have her chime in real quick, okay?
Okay.
Hi, Brita. You're on mute, but go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much for your very candid talk. I would agree with you absolutely. And it's somewhat depressing at the same time, while of course it's very good warnings for us. So seeing that, I agree with you with all the stuff that's out there. And of course, I have lots of it myself. And clearly, I'm not cured or anywhere near it. It continues getting worse. So what's happening from the medical side of things, where they know what our disease is that we're sort of spinning off of usually, whether that be cancers or whether it be whatever. Lots of things carry, lots of, shall we use the general word, diseases, carry with it neuropathy. So I imagine you would almost need some personal formulas or whatever for different patients. So I guess my question is the medical community looking into this, seeing that so very many of their patients are suffering, and I'm talking about all of them, not just any one set of them. Many of them are suffering from neuropathy. Have you anything to share on that? And thank you.
I can reiterate the last slide that I showed you was from the Mayo Clinic Regenerative Clinic. And they are working on these type of therapies as we speak, as are many different institutions. Even though neuropathy is in about 40 to 60% of the older population,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be prevalent enough for pharmaceutical companies to feel like they can make some money on this type of thing.
Yes, I would
And
presume
you
so.
will notice that none of the products that we mentioned today, especially with vitamins and so forth, are patentable because these are all natural ingredients. So the pharmaceutical companies can't make any money on vitamins and ALA and things like that because they're pretty natural ingredients. So that's part of the problem, is that they have to find something unique that will help the problem that they can actually think they can make money on. But we do have places like the Mayo Clinic working on this.
Mm-hmm. That's depressing. You know, I mean, it doesn't give a bright outlook for certainly for the immediate future.
Yeah, Glenn, if you're on, can you address any of these comments? I guess he's not on, or maybe he is coming on.
I can unmute. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was actually just typing something into the question and answer part of things, which I'll cancel out. There is research out there. It's certainly not as advanced as the research into central nervous system regeneration, a lot of which was initiated after what happened to Christopher Reeve. But just to give you an example of the types of things that are going on now, although none of it is yet like in a, say, stage 3 clinical trial, there is a group of people called Winsantor. And if you put that in, it's WINSANTOR. You can see their website. They're working with a drug that was originally designed for gastrointestinal difficulties that seems to have some nerve regeneration properties, and they're in a series of clinical trials themselves. We hope to actually have them in for a webinar sometime in the future. But that's an example of some of what's going on in terms of research.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
let's see.
It's a long road ahead, I think, for us sufferers.
Let's see. I have another person. Let's see. CJ has his hand raised, so I'm going to let him come on too.
Okay.
CJ?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
The my chat has been disabled. Does that sound right?
No, we can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me, but when I go into chat,
Oh, I can't answer that part.
it says it's disabled.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, anyway, the point I wanted to make was just for fun, I started writing down, kind of collecting any nerve aids that were supplements, and I'm up to 80. And you know, to me, yeah, I've even been tempted to do it myself. You know, you could chop up some seaweed and add some alpha lipoic acid and put it in a bottle and send it out there. So to me, that's one con, is all of these supplements that are out there available. And then if you go on stuff-that-works.health, people are constantly singing the praise of, you know, of their favorite supplement or treatment or whatever. Nobody on stuff-that-works.health has a bad experience with trying something. You know, if they try some kind of electro acupuncture, then it cured them. And so it makes me suspicious that there's a lot of brand ambassadors out there. And that's another form of con, I think, is when people come on and say, oh, it cured me. You should try it. And then, you know, you can ask some questions, but they won't answer. So anyway, that's two things that I would contribute. One is there's a whole ton of supplements out there. And there is, I believe, a bunch of brand ambassadors also, and they both represent a con.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Just let me comment a little bit more on that, because I think your point is really well taken. One of the things that we all have to keep in mind, that the placebo effect is something that, you know, is very, very strong, and therefore can convince people and physically it may actually be doing them some good, but it is not necessarily a legitimate cure for everyone, or even, you know, above the placebo effect. But there's a lot of factors that involve the placebo effect in causing a very positive response in a lot of different individuals. And it depends on the disease. Some of them can be affected much differently than others. So I think that's something we always have to keep in mind, is the effect of the placebo effect.
Yeah, if somebody writes in and says, this really helped me, I often write them back and say, check back with us in a year. You know, I mean, they'll try something for 3 weeks and whoa, that's the best thing ever. Well, give it time.
Yeah.
And then let me know.
Yeah, because it is a continually debilitating disease. Okay. Anything else? Any more comments? I don't see any. So Pam, it's up to you. Do you want to keep going, or?
Sorry. Can I say something else?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Back to what we all seem to be more or less agreed on, or at least what I understand. We don't tend to get neuropathy out of nowhere. We've got an underlying disease, probably, and a serious one. At least the people I know tend to have something or other. Mine happens to be a blood cancer. Well, it's not going to go away. It's been there 12 years already. And of course, hopefully there'll be a cure someday. Will it be in my lifetime? Probably not, given that I'm now 80. But I've had this since whatever, 68, I guess, whatever the math is. So it makes it very complex. We're really looking for something to help us with side effects. But the side effects are different depending on the mother disease sort of that we individually have. And just looking at it straight in the face, it would seem like unless we can cure or ameliorate whatever is really wrong with us, that this is just the effects. So we're trying to paint the building, but the building is falling down. You know, just being rational. That's not to say, of course, we shouldn't try to help the effects as well. Of course, that's wonderful. We have to do all we can, but we have a major issue that we also need to be aware of and face. And of course, we all are working with that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe neuropathy exists on its own, but anyone I talk to who have it, or I go to meetings, you ask them what have they, oh, I have this, or I have that, or I have the other. And you'll hear a list of very serious problems. So that makes it complex. So I guess that's all I have to add. We are probably all aware of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let me check one more time here. Any questions and answers? Nope, no more at this point.
Then I think we can probably close.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Pam, for taking the time to put this all together, and for I think a really good airtime. I mean, a really good topic to talk about and bring to the membership.
You're welcome, and I hope people took a little gem of knowledge from this presentation.
And thank you again. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.